Hi, I'm Donna, and this is my co-host Nick, and we are Midlife Unfiltered podcast. We will be talking about honesty, growth, and clarity during our midlife times.
Exactly. And, not it, all advice is wise. Sometimes people give you advice because they think they're helping you, they're trying to encourage you. But in reality, advice that they're giving you is really maybe for themselves, or they're just seeing the outside of whatever's going on in your life. You haven't really divulged everything. And so, for example, for you, I can't give you advice on something if I don't really know everything that you're going through, and vice versa. If I don't open up to you and go, Donna, this is really what's going on. You only can give me what you know. Or, for example, if I've never been in your shoes before on
Mhm.
something, I can't give you advice if I've never been in your shoes. Now, again, people are always trying to be nice when they want to give it because they're caring people. But at the same time, it's not always wise advice.
Well, I think that we go through different stages in our life. You start off at your younger stage, like, maybe as a kid and then as a young adult. And then you go through, your 30s and onto your 40s and so on. And as you grow, you learn to take advice in a different way.
Yep, exactly. It's true. If you think about it, if I give you advice and I do it and it doesn't work, am I holding a grudge on you? Am I mad at you because I did what you said? Oh, that's where, when it comes to advice, you really have to take it with a grain of salt, and you really have to sit down and really just think before jumping, going, oh, this is what they said to do, but is it right for my age? Is it maybe more advice for somebody that's younger? For example, if you and I are giving advice, if I'm giving advice to you, but in reality it's advice that we should be giving our children,
Hmm.
then obviously that advice isn't going to work for you. So it's all about, really focusing and thinking and meditating on that advice.
Yeah, it's true. Like I said before, we go through different stages. And I also feel that maybe what you tell me or advise me when I was younger isn't applicable now, or maybe it is more applicable.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think that we should learn off of what other people give us, what other advice people give us, because hopefully we can find something that's positive out of what they've told us or what they're trying to tell us.
Yeah. And sometimes even if you're given the most amazing advice and the person giving it to you absolutely knows this is the advice that they need to give you and it's the right one, sometimes you're scared. People are scared to take that next step. They're afraid to open up the door because they're comfortable with where they're at. Like I was telling my daughter the other day, she wants to go to school potentially in New York City. But then she's like, if I go to here, mom, I feel like I need an adult with me, and I'm like, you're going to be an adult. You can do this. You don't always need. And sometimes we have to, the advice is, as much as it's hard is to let your children go or to let them do that, we have to do what's best. And it reflects on us as well. We have to, at the same time, for example, with the podcast, what if we all the times that through our podcasting time we were told, no, it's not going to happen. What if we listened to that advice? We wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have all the followers and all of the people that friends that we've made through this journey. And, those people that said it to us, were they being mean? No, they weren't being mean because they honestly, in their heart, thought they were giving us the right advice. And at that time, yeah, maybe it was, but we stuck it through and now look where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most definitely. I think that, you have to go with your gut also.
Yeah.
And I think, again, you learn that along the way because I think when we're younger, we tend to listen to what other people say because we're supposed to, right? It's authority, it's coming from a good source. This is what social norms are. This is what we're supposed to follow. And as we grow, I feel that, we can start to make our own decisions and, you know, make our own paths into what we want to do. Yes, advice is great and it does help you, but I think also you have to mold it
Yeah.
to make it fit you.
Right. How does it make you feel? Does some of the advice that you've been given over time, does it make you uncomfortable? How does your body respond to some of the advice over the years that you've been given?
I think I'm like 50-50.
Okay.
So I feel like if there's advice that's given to me in that I can make work for me, I'm okay with that.
Right.
Sometimes I feel that sometimes advice can be given in like a back doorway.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not really advice, it's just telling you what the other person doesn't like, okay? Like, for instance, I really wouldn't keep your hair brown because it's really not a good color on you, that's my advice.
Right.
But I'm backdooring and really telling you that I don't
Yeah.
like your hair. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so you have to kind of be careful with what people say to you and how they say it.
Mhm.
So I think that all goes into, like, how you read people and,
Yeah.
what their real intent is.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree on that. So many times in my younger years, I was given advice, not to do this, not to do that. You won't be successful, blah, blah, blah. And I listened to that advice because they were from people that I trusted. And now when I look back at it, I wish I hadn't listened to them. But then at the same time, had I listened to them, where would I be today? Right? Where would I have met my husband? Would I have my children? Would
Mhm,
I have met you?
mhm,
Would we be here? So it
right.
always, now that I'm older, because people always say to me, "What would you tell your younger self?" And I honestly can sit there and say, I don't know. There are definitely things I would definitely change. There are definitely things I would have changed. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I had changed and not listened to them and I had did it, where would I be? I don't know. So I always feel that your younger years, you've learned from that, and that you can then help give other people their quote unquote wise advice because you've grown there. But then again, is what you're giving them going to work for them because it was something that you've been through? Because not everybody goes down the same path.
Well, it's kinda like, do you agree with, like, the woulda, coulda, shoulda, like, I would've done this, I would've done that, but what if you did?
Yeah.
What would've happened?
Right. And some of it is so it's confusing. I mean, I've had my nieces literally call me saying they're so confused because somebody has told them something. And I just tell them, I love you, but I can't tell you what to do. I can give you my advice, but doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So I can simply say that I have been given so much information in my life that I have literally been so confused that I didn't know what to do. And I don't did I make the right advice? Like a job that I had once before, people said, "Oh, you need to stay because it's paying you well and it has medical." I was miserable. I was so miserable and I wanted so many times I wanted to leave, but I stayed and then when I did leave, I was like, "Why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I wait so long? I wish I had listened to myself." Yes, I get it. It's because the main was because I was medical. If something happened to me, it would have been paid for. I get that part, but at the same time, I look back and I wish now that I had left sooner and not listened to that advice for that specific reason. But at the time, I was so confused. I just didn't know what to do. I'm like, what if it fails? What if my next leap of job that I want to go to doesn't work out? Then I'm up a creek without a paddle. I'm screwed, basically. And this one here, I knew that I was at a safe place and it was comfort. And I think that's what a lot of people is their comfort, is they're comfortable.
And another thing I feel that if you're giving me advice, how you're saying it and how I'm listening to it is 2 different things.
Yeah, it's like what voice to listen to, the good voice, the bad voice. Not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying, the picture of the cartoon, like the angel was on one side, the
Yeah,
devil's on the other side. You're like, oh yeah. That's literally what just came to my mind.
yeah,
It's like, what do
yeah.
you listen to?
Uh, but in the other respect, like, you could be telling me something as advice, but the way you're saying it, I could be translating it differently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, when it comes down to giving someone else advice, I think it's something that you just have to be really careful with. You have to know your audience.
Yeah.
You have to know if there will be receptive to what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And, just like tread waters.
Yeah. Tread waters carefully because you never know what you say. How is it going to affect them? And I think a lot of times people give their thoughts out of the kindness of their hearts. Now, I know there is a small percentage that don't do it out of the kindness of their heart, but I
Sure.
generally believe 99% of the people are giving it out of the kindness of their hearts. It's at the end of the day, it's you. You're the one that has to make that decision. For example, somebody said I shouldn't have married my husband. They're like, "Oh, you shouldn't have married him. Why would you marry him?" Why? What? Okay, so if I hadn't listened to him, I wouldn't. I mean, we've been together 20 years. I wouldn't have my 4 beautiful children.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
Your
like
beautiful life, you
I
wouldn't
would
have it.
exactly, and I love my life. I love where I'm at, and I love my family. His side of the family is amazing. So, and it's just with you. If someone told you not to marry your husband, you wouldn't have your beautiful children. You wouldn't have had that 25 years with him and with me. This is the one time I have to say I'm glad I chose to do what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And, that all goes back to, like, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah.
I as much as we love to say, "Oh, I should have taken that path," or "I should have taken that job," or "I should have dated that person," you don't know what your life would have been like.
Yeah. It's all about trusting your inner self. You have
Mhm.
to trust yourself. You have to. You have to really go because you're the only one that knows if it's the right decision for you. You're the only one. You have to just trust yourself and trust that next step and hope that that door opens. And when it opens, it's the right path and the right door. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At least you can say, I tried.
Then it also leads to the fact that if maybe you hit a dead end,
Yeah.
you know that you have people that will be there to help you,
Right. Exactly.
right? The people that gave you advice to begin with.
Right. Like, how many inventors did we have back in the day that probably were told, "No, don't invent the light bulb. You're crazy," right? And how many times did he fail inventing the light bulb? I have no idea. I just know that it's hundreds, to be honest with you. But had he listened, maybe he was. What if he had been given advice that said, "Stop"? Would we have the light bulb today? I don't know. Would we have telephones thanks to Alexander Bell? I don't know. But they took what they wanted. They trusted themselves and they went with it.
Yeah, and that's important. That's important. Listen to yourself, and I think that anyone that's listening to this, that's probably one of the most important takeaways. One thing we said about our podcast is that we want someone to walk away with a positive experience or an enlightenment or, just something that will make you think.
Yeah.
And if you can walk away with anything today, I hope you walk away with the fact that you need to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Anybody can give you advice, but it has to feel right.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask several people. Don't be afraid to ask people that know you but don't know you because sometimes your family, they want what's best for you. They're going to tell you things. But if you get advice from somebody that's maybe just a friend and you sit down and tell them everything, they might have a different picture of advice. And then you can put it on the scale and go, okay. And maybe you can mesh the two together. Maybe meshing the two together will help you in the decisions on whatever you decide to do. But at the end of the day, like Donna said, it all comes down to you. And whatever you decide to do, if it fails, that's fine. Just pick yourself back up and try again. And at least you know at the end of the day that you tried, and you'll never have that regret of going, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I try? I wish, I wish, I wish. And you can simply say, I tried and it wasn't for me. That's fine. And maybe it's a learning phase for you and knowing that you failed and another door opens and that's the door you're supposed to go down, but you didn't know it at the time until you tried and you failed. And sometimes it's good advice too. Sometimes it's good advice and it works.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely. Life isn't easy.
No, it's not.
So when you can have people that you can trust
Hmm.
for help, for advice, to use the word again, someone to lean on, that's important. Just, build your tribe, but build it wise. Build
Yep.
it wisely.
That's exactly what I tell my kids. I'm like, you don't need 100 friends. You don't need 30 friends. Even if you just have a small group of friends that all fits on one hand that you really can confide in, that's your most important. That's your most important tribe. And that's what my older kids are girls. And that's what they do. They have chosen who they trust more than anything with whether it's from colleges to school to their career to whatever it is that they trust them. And yes, they come to me and my husband and they talk to us, but at the same time, it's always good to get advice from your peers because they might see something that we don't see.
Yeah, because let's say we'll talk about our kids for a second. As much as we say our kids are going to act the same way at home as they do out or in front of their friends, they really don't. It's two different personalities.
100%.
So
100%.
their friends
Hmm.
know them in different aspects
Yep.
than we know them.
It, oh, percent. Like you can sit there and say, that's not how I raised my kid. but your kid leaves the house and they act one way and they come home and they're different. And you're like, why? And they're like, well, because my friend said it was cool. Well, that's probably not advice you should take in. Or maybe they've done the right thing. Maybe your friends have given you the most amazing advice, and you, by listening to them, it's, maybe they said, you should take this AP class. This is an amazing AP class. This is going to help you with your college recommendations. This
Right.
is going to help you, and you take it. And it's the best just choice that you've ever had. My girls have done that where they were like, no, I'm not so sure. And they've taken it, and it turned out to be the best decision by taking those AP classes or taking that college class at the community college, because now it's helped them in their career in college and soon to be in college. They listened to their friends because their friends know. They just like, we took this class. We're telling you now, take it. And
Yeah, where you haven't taken the class,
I
and
absolutely
you're
right.
looking at it as, "Oh, that's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
Why would you wanna do that, or why would
Yeah.
you wanna take it, or what does it mean?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And it's the same as adults, is do we take that job? Do we not take that job? And that's where maybe we had a coworker who knew somebody that worked in that field, or maybe they worked in that field prior and they can go, it wasn't a right fit for me, but I know it's going to be a right fit for you. And I really think you should do it. And that's where you can go, thank you so very much. And then you have to really think about that. And you're like, do you trust that person? And giving you that advice? Is it wise? And then you have to think so much. So, like, I can use my niece, for example. When she was coming to the United States to get her PhD in chemistry, right? She said, oh, Auntie, I'm picking all of these colleges because I'm just gonna say, my husband is Nigerian. So she was picking all these colleges because all the professors there were Nigerian. They shared the same faith as her. And they were like, oh, you should come, you should come, you should come. And she was telling me this. And I said, Z, listen up. I was like, this is what I want you to do. I was like, I want you to make a pros and cons list of every single school. And I said, I don't want you to look at it as in for the professor because they're Nigerian or you guys share the same religion. I was like, I want you to do it for your future. And she did that. It took her a while because there was several schools that she was choosing. And she came back to me and she said, I'm so glad that you told me to do that. And I was like, why? She goes, because I realized at the end of the day, the schools that I wanted to go to are not the right fit for me. And the one that she chose, you know where she is. I'm not going to say publicly. But she said, even the other day, I was talking on the phone. She said, I am so glad that I'm actually here at this school because it's the right fit for me. And I was like, I didn't do anything. And she said, you did. And I was like, what did I do? And she said, you told me to make that pros and cons list. And she goes, that I listened to you on that. I'm like, oh my, you're welcome. I didn't, to me, I was just like, just make a pros and cons list. That's to me, it was just
yeah.
the normal thing to do, make your pros and cons list. And she literally did it. And I was like, okay, thank you. I'm like, you're welcome. I didn't realize me telling her to make that still, stuck with her to this day, 4 years later. I mean, she's about to graduate in May. And I didn't realize it still stuck with her. I'm like, "Well, here, thank you. I didn't realize."
Well, that's great. I mean,
Yeah,
it's good to be reminded,
yeah,
that the advice that you did give.
yeah. And she's a smart girl. She's a smart girl coming from one country that she's at to a completely different country, and I'm sure that those professors meant the bet, they meant well, but I wanted her to take those two specific things out of the box and get rid of them completely. Is what I
Mhm.
wanted her. Not that I wanted her close to me because I'm glad that she's close to me. I really, really am. But it was more, I was just thinking of her future. That's what I was thinking. And that's what I told her the whole time. I was like, I'm not telling you that because I want you close to me. I was like, I want you to do what's best for you in your future. And that's literally what I kept telling her. In your future, you have to do what's best for you. Don't do it because Dr. So and so said, I will give you this, 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 and this. What happens if, like, I don't remember who I was talking with. They said they were given all these promises that if they did this, this, and this would happen. And they showed up and it never happened. I don't
That's
remember.
disappointing.
Yeah, I don't remember who I was speaking to, but they were told they were given promised all of this stuff and this advice, and they went there and now they're stuck. It's sad. So at the end of the day, guys, you're the one that has to make that choice and that decision. And if it involves you making a pros and cons list and really thinking about it, just think if you have to sit on it for a month, sit on it for a month. Don't jump right away and go, I'm signing it now. Let's do. Just sit on it and think, talk to other people, talk to coworkers, talk to friends. But you, at the same time, if you're going to talk to them, you need to be very honest with them and you need to open up, because if you only give them somebody so much information, they're going to give you what they think is wise advice based only on the information that you're giving them. And then you take that information and you have to truly end the day. You're the one that has to be at peace about
Yeah,
whatever
of
decision
course.
that you make.
No,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. This was a great topic.
Really was. It was. I loved it. So, y'all, thank you so very much. This is our very first podcast in this episode. So, next week, we're going to be talking about when growth makes people uncomfortable. And I really cannot wait for that one. That one's going to be probably, to me, the most exciting. I'm like, so excited to talk about that one. It just kind of goes along with this one. So, again, guys, thank you so very much. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you next week. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.